Well, hello everybody. You know, if you've looked at any of my videos in the past, you'll know that I have a habit of photographing a lot of trees that have fallen over. Well, the reason for that is because the area where I live, there's pretty much an abundance of old trees that have rotted, decayed, and fallen over the years. Sometimes they fall in some pretty interesting arrangements, different configurations. Sometimes you have very angular trees that have fallen over. Sometimes you have huge, massive trees that have fallen on top of each other. And there are a lot of streams that go through this area. It's somewhat of a hilly area in this particular location. And sometimes a lot of the trees have fallen across the streams on top of each other. And the first time that I came to this area, I found that pretty interesting. Now, the challenge there is trying to photograph it in such a manner where it looks interesting. And that's what I'm attempting to do today. I'm in a different location that I hadn't quite been to before. And I'm noticing a number of trees now that are striking my interest. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scout around a little bit and see if I can come up with a decent composition, something that looks interesting. There's a tree directly behind me and that I'm looking at right now. And I may be making my way over to that tree a little bit later to see what I can do with it. So I'm going to scout around a bit, and as always, I'll be back in a few. All right, let's see, I've come across my first composition right now. Oh boy, right behind me, or actually to the side of me, there's a fallen tree here. It's pretty well decayed. You can tell the termites have gotten to it and done a pretty good job on it. But what struck me about this is that you have a little notch right here in the center of the tree. It looks like a branch was probably there at some time in the past and had broken off. The texture is just very nice on this particular tree that's fallen. But what really grabbed my attention was the fact that it's actually sloping down this hill. The tree actually originated in just on the other side of this stream, and it's fallen over in this direction where I am now. So what I'm doing is I'm arranging a composition where I'm going to start from the very foreground right here of the tree, and I'm going to take multiple exposures. I'm probably going to take about maybe 5 or 6 shots, and all of these images will be focus blended together later on in post. So I'll have nice sharp focus from the foreground all the way into the background. I've used this technique a number of times, and on something like this, if you'd like to get very close to your subject, it's probably the best way to go, because it's going to be impossible to get everything in focus in one shot, especially if you're focused on the foreground first. Getting the background in focus simply isn't going to be possible. Okay, my initial settings right now, I'm at f-stop 16 and ISO 64, and it's given me about 1/6 of a second. Okay, I'm using a polarizing filter to cut down on as much glare as possible. And I'm going to take multiple shots, and I'm going to take the first one right now. I'm using mirror lockup as usual. All right, there's the first shot. Now I'm going to focus a bit further into the shot. All right, and here's the second shot. Okay, and now focus a little bit further. All right. there's the third shot. Now, one thing about this is that the closer you're focusing, the more shots you're going to have to take on a shot like this when you're very close. Now, as you get further, as you begin to focus further and further away, depth of field is really going to come into play, especially at f-stop 16. So I won't need to take as many shots the further down that I get. But I like to take a few extra shots when I'm focusing this close. So probably 4 or 5 shots right here initially. And then as I go down further, that won't be necessary. Depth of field will take over at that point. All right. All right, and this is going to be the last shot. And I will focus all the way at the very end. All right, and manual focus one more time. All right. Okay. Now, once all of these images are blended together later in Photoshop, I should have one nice image that is in focus from the foreground all the way into the background. Then, of course, the editing and the real processing will take place after that. So now I'm going to go on to my next composition. I'm eyeing something now. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to do a little bit of hiking. All right, if you look over here, you can see there are some trees right there in the background that struck my eye. And I'm going to hike my way down to these trees here and see if I can put together some type of a composition. And I'm going to hope for the best with that and see exactly what happens. All right, but for right now, I'm going to pack it up and hike my way down to that particular area. All right, I've arrived at my next composition. As you can see, the clouds have rolled in. They're actually calling for rain later on this evening. But actually, I'm rather loving this. I've got really nice even illumination all over now. So really the dynamic range has been shortened dramatically. And the lighting is going to give me a very nice soft appearance to all of the images. Right behind me is the composition that I was referring to earlier. You can see there's a tree that's fallen over. It originated here, and it's fallen across this little creek right here. And it has multiple trees that have also fallen right behind it. And as you can see, they're scattered out in a pretty random pattern. And that struck my eye earlier when I was coming by. So I have the composition set up. So I'm going to go ahead and take that shot now. And the first, I'm at f-stop 16. I'm focusing for the first tree that's in the foreground. And from this distance, that should give me very nice depth of field, and everything should be in pretty good focus. So let's get on with it. Okay, my initial settings right now are 1/2 a second at f-stop 16, ISO 64. And as I said, I'm focused for the tree directly ahead. Okay, we don't have a problem with highlights or shadow areas, and the histogram looks good. So here's the shot. Mirror lockup. Okay. Let's zoom in at 100% and see what I've got here. All right, and that looks good. I have adjusted my white balance slightly to compensate for the clouds that are in the area. All right, I'm going to take several more shots and see exactly how things turn out with that. And I will definitely process those when I get back and share those with you. I've come across what's going to be probably my last shot for the day. If you look right behind me, this is the angular rotted tree that I was talking about just a moment ago. If you look here, you can see that this tree is actually originating, but it's ending about right here. But this is where I'm actually going to lead it into the image. It's going to come directly into here. And look at the nice little furrows and ridges that are in the tree itself. And look how it's actually curving nicely around. And it also has one tree that's lying underneath it, as well as the tree which it's actually connected to. Obviously, these trees have been here for some time. And as I said earlier, the weather and termites have done a pretty good job on them. But this was pretty interesting. And I saw this earlier when I was coming through, and I'm going to try and photograph this. I have the composition set up. I'm using a polarizing filter to kind of give me just a little bit richer color and remove some of the surface glare. I'm going to take multiple shots on this as well. The first shot is going to be for the foreground. Here, I'm probably going to take 4 or 5 shots just to make sure everything is in good focus. Okay, I'm at about 65 millimeters at this distance, and I'm going to get on with that shot now, and hopefully I'll have something decent. And I've got about 4 seconds right now at f-stop 13. So I'm going to take that exposure now, mirror lockup. All right, and there's the first shot. Okay, now I'm going to focus a little bit further into the composition as I did before. Okay. And we got 4 seconds at f-stop 16 again. Okay. The reason I'm taking as many shots as I am is because the last couple of shots that I took, I was zoomed in a bit. Right now I'm at about 65 millimeters. So your depth of field is compromised when you're actually using magnification. So you're going to need more shots to get everything in focus when you're focus blending. And the increments can't be quite as long, as far away between each other. All right, and this will be my very last shot. And I'll be focusing up right toward the top. And of course, once all of these are focus blended, I should have a very nice image with sharpness from front to back. Okay, and that's done. Okay, well, it looks like that's going to be it for today. The light is beginning to get away from me right now, but well, as things have a way of turning out, I may find something as I'm leaving later. But I guess that's going to be it for today. So if you've enjoyed this video, please don't hesitate to comment, like, and please subscribe. Okay? Until next time.